I said earlier, you have a pretty colorful, background. But there's an irony there, sir, a former, activist student of the Marcos era, working with FBR, eventually finding himself working with FVR, the former PC chief and one of the key implementors of martial law. I mean, how did you know?
Yes. I should start perhaps with the time I was with the Communist Party. That was the first Communist Party, Partido Comunista ng Pilipinas.
PKP, yes.
After martial law was declared and many of the Politburo members were arrested, I was elevated to be a Politburo member. So in 1972. And then eventually I became number 2 man of the party. And we were still mostly in hiding, except the military segment of the party, which was very active. But the political cadres like myself were just, doing organizational work, educational work, propaganda. We were not, actually I was not involved in fighting. But in 1995, Opley was able to talk to me in Nueva Ecija, San Isidro, Nueva Ecija. He had an employee who was from there. And he learned from his relatives that I was at a safe house in that town. So he came because we were together in the movement for the advancement of nationalism, plus Opley. So he came and said, sayang ka, Ruben, you had a good academic background,
Right.
etc., and you have no future here. And he offered me an amnesty. He would be able to help. Eventually, of course, the whole party leadership got amnesty. So, first after that, that was 3 years, almost 4 years. I was granted an amnesty, and I don't know if the president remembers this, but it was to him that I surrendered my sidearm
Talaga?
and my arbalite in Camp Crame. He was then PC chief. That was the first encounter with the FVR.
Okay.
But even then, because of demonstrations in 1971, 70 and early 72,
Yes.
We met him even occasionally. So, but I was not, the number one leader. So, just be one of those who would meet him in Camp Crame. So he would not perhaps remember everything.
Complicated ba siya?
And then, no, he's a very simple guy. He was not, because he was not using his position as PC chief. He was just like a friend advising us not to see to it that demonstrations would not be unruly.
Talaga?
There will be no violence. Ganyan lang. And then we would tell him that, of course, we will police our ranks, and we were expecting that he would also police his police officers.
What year was that when you surrendered?
Around that was 1975, late 1975. I think it was October.
Oo. Yun yung unang engagement.
Then I started working for Blas Opley.
And then, you joined the Ministry of Labor and
Because he told me that after your amnesty, come and work with me. So I got my amnesty on a Friday, and I started reporting to him on Monday.
the next week, andun ka na.
Monday,
At that time, did you get to bump into FBR? Hindi na. Nung nasa
Hindi na.
ministry ka pa.
Hindi na.
Oo.
Hindi na.
So, panahon ni Cory, I suppose.
Panahon ni Cory, she initially appointed me as Undersecretary of Labor.
Yes, yes. Oo.
Because after my stint as a researcher in the Department of Labor, I joined the Ministry of Energy
Okay.
under Velasco. So I
Yes,
also worked
Geronimo.
with Geronimo Velasco. I was then manager of PNOC.
Yes, yes.
And then he assigned me to the Ministry of Energy, newly created to start recruiting people. So most of the people there were my recruits because I was in charge of recruitment.
So, from leftist activist to public servant, ano? Sino yung ni-replace mo sa Cory Department
When
of
I was,
Labor? Bobby?
no. I replaced Drilon.
Andrilo.
Drilon was given a new appointment by Cory to Ministry of, to the Department of Justice. So they were looking for a replacement. I was an undersecretary. Cory chose me.
Did you get to meet, ano? What was it like bumping into FVR? I mean, I suppose at
Oh,
that
yes,
time he was
yes, of
already SND. No?
Yes, of
So,
course.
magka-level na kayo. Oh.
We attend the same cabinet meeting. We were always present, and we get to talk. We got to talk a few times because he was always busy. FBR, you'll never. I never saw him chatting with other cabinet members, because other cabinet members were just telling story, laughing, etc.
yeah.
But he would bring bundles of paper,
Talaga.
and he would work while we were waiting for the time of the cabinet meeting. So he was maximizing time all the time.
So doon pa lang nakikita mo ng ano, no?
Ang
Yung
masipag
work
talaga.
ethic.
Yes, his work ethic was very good.
Was very
And very disciplined.
And you eventually became party mates ba?
Yes.
Sa LDP ba? O
Because
sa
in
Lakas?
1992,
Oh.
there was an election, presidential. And I was then Secretary of Labor, and President Cory Aquino called me to Malacanang and urged me to run for senator.
Oo nga. Yeah.
I told, of course, Cory I was not ready for it, and no organization, no money, etc. And President Aquino said, Cory Aquino said, I'll help you in all ways I can. Because Eddie, he said, referring to President Ramos, Eddie could not fill the 24 slots at that time.
Yeah.
24 senators.
Yes, yes.
That was the first election under the new
Oh,
constitution.
yung synchronized elections.
So I was drafted to to be his candidate, of course.
In the senatorial
Yes,
slate.
I lost, but not very bad.
Oo. Oo. Kaya lang yan, no? Nag-LDP ka ba? Or
Yes,
Lakas
within
diretso?
Lakas. I joined the Lakas
And
rather
then
than
Lakas.
LDP. Yes.
From LDP?
No, I was never
hindi
LDP.
na, Lakas talaga.
That was my first time to
Okay,
join a
okay.
political party outside the Communist Party.
Oh. Oo nga. Okay. So, what was the campaign trail like with FBR?
At the time,
sinabi mo na may work ethic eh. Ganun
Yeah.
pa rin ba yung nakita mo?
yung campaign niya talaga hectic. And also, we did not have much money to spend. We were on very shoestring budget for the campaign. But at that time, he considered me as a possible winner and might make a good senator. So together with now Secretary of Labor Bello, he chose us to be always beside him during campaign. Even the
okay.
side trips
Oo, talaga.
that no other senatorial candidate would be invited, but he would ask us to come with him. So I thought, the president wanted us to win because he wanted us most exposure. But unfortunately, only 3 of his candidates for senator won.
Yeah. Oo.
On all of these are women.
Gloria. Sino ba?
Senator Rasul.
Yeah. Santa Nina.
What is
Shahani.
Shahani. Only 3 of them.
Okay. So, what hands-on ba siya? I mean, what was he like building alliances with I mean, he was no, he did not have the war chest of LDP.
Yes, no, he was not.
And
LDP
the war chest of
put up Mitra, if you remember.
yes.
So he wanted to get the LDP nod, I think, because he joined the convention. But he was not happy with the process of the convention
Yeah.
and the
He
results.
lost out.
So we insisted on him being the running mate of Lakas, Lakas Tao. And, so we had to campaign for him, at the same time building the campaign machinery and building the party. So it's tough job. While LDP is already organized, they have well-oiled campaign machinery.
And then you were also running against Danding.
Yes,
Diba?
so many.
Mrs.
Danding,
Marcos,
of
Miriam.
NPC, Miriam.
Yeah. But what was it like when you, Cory, FVR, sat down and said, Ruben, join the, nangyari ba yun?
Nangyari, join the Senator, nangyari, of course. I could not refuse President Aquino, and I was Secretary of Labor. I was asking her that let me run instead as congressman, I might have better chances.
Yeah.
But she said, no, join AD. So I said, okay, the President, I joined, Madam President, I joined
Parang no choice ka.
Secretary Ramos. No choice talaga.
Yung draft, Unfortunately.
Literally drafted. Okay.
Yeah. But unfortunately, no. Wait, let me ask, what was FBR like as a political animal? I mean, your impression of him during the campaign.
At the start, he
especially.
was not a political animal,
Talaga.
He was a military man, But he's really very industrious. During the time that we were campaigning, I think he did not get 4 hours sleep.
Talaga.
So in one time in Davao, at 2 o'clock, we were still awake, and he wanted to talk to some people, labor leaders, because I came from TUCP.
Yes.
Unfortunately, TUCP sided with Mitra,
Oo nga pala. Yeah.
because Mitra got Herrera
Yes.
to run with him as senator. So Herrera was then head of General Secretary of TUCP.
Yeah.
So President Ramos was looking for
Contact.
a labor leader, labor organization to support him. So I said, probably, I could get the Federation of Free Workers, FW. It's a big organization, under Johnny Tan.
Yeah.
So I tried to call Mr. Johnny Tan telephone, and surprisingly enough, Johnny Tan was still awake at the time, and they talk. I think they talk up to 4 o'clock.
Oh my. Talaga.
And I was beside President Ramos. So also, at that time, really, he was. And I told him, Mr. President, I think we have to go to bed because tomorrow we start campaigning again.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, oh, it's just a few more weeks. And we are through with these sleepless nights. But of course, he was a military man, so he's used to guard duty perhaps for several nights.
Yeah. But it was a 90-day campaign, and the crucial period actually was the last week or last 2 weeks.
I think last
diba?
2 weeks
Diba? Doon na,
was
diba?
crucial because the surveys was already showing Miriam as the front runner.
Talaga. Did you expect that?
So we have on his instruction, we have to shift the political campaign tactics.
Yeah.
We did not anticipate that. We thought that Danding was the main opponent,
Yeah.
and then it became Cojuangco,
Yeah.
and then on the last 2 weeks, Miriam was already ahead.
Santiago.
But of course, FBR was never far behind
Yes,
all the other candidates.
Oo.
He was always second or third. So on his instruction, said, We were given instructions. Okay, hit Miriam already. So in all your campaign speeches, mentioned how that she may not be a good president. Analyze his program of government,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
we argue that this is not the best programs for our country. So that's how
Talaga.
intense the campaign was.
Kailan yung point na hindi na si kalimutan mo na si Speaker Mitra?
Bumagsak eh. If you remember the incident in the Batasan,
Yeah, the printing office.
yes.
Just a week
He
before.
really dropped it. Notwithstanding his well-oiled and
Machinery.
massive political organization, his popularity went down. Then Danding was now the main protagonist of FVR. Then later on became Miriam.
Did you get to work with the strategy group? Kasi di ba merong Sulu, merong
No.
Makati.
They were doing the job without. We were following perhaps their instructions and decisions. But because I was a candidate myself, so
so
I
you
had
were
to be in the
focused on-
campaign
yeah.
trail rather than in sitting down with some people
Yeah.
who are in a way convinced already that they should vote for us and they should vote for
Yeah.
president. So we said we should be in the campaign trail.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you didn't quite make it,
No, I didn't make it. I
sayang.
was number 27,
Yun nga eh.
24.
Ang close, Had you hit at least 24, you would have had a 3-year term.
Yeah, 3-year term.
Yeah.
That's good enough, I think.
So you went on hiatus after that, di ba?
After that,
So Cory,
I tell you that
transition.
after the election and 21 of us lost, he tendered, he was not yet president. He has not taken his oath yet. But he gave us a dinner in one of these Chinese restaurants in Makati.
oh,
And he was telling us, be patient.
yeah.
There's a ban
There's a
on
1-year ban.
appointing you for 1 year. So find parking spaces for yourselves.
For the meantime.
I will take you in.
Talaga.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what he did for me was said former law office. So Bello, Quisumbing, Yulo, Torres, and one more. We form a law office.
Yeah.
It's just our parking space. We at least for
For a
a
few
year.
years. Oh.
But even during that time, he already nominated me to be director of PLDT, representing sequestered shares.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah,
So,
okay.
may hanap buhay na ako. Kumikita na ako.
How did you guys take to the I mean, medyo tense rin yung canvas di ba? Nung presidential, Yung
Yes,
presidential
of course.
senatorial
Yes, of course.
canvas.
Because it was a close fight really with Miriam.
Oo. What was it like? I mean, paano nyo binabantayan at that time?
Well, meron mga strategies na, meron kaming lawyers and etc. Because I was also attending to my own chances of winning.
Yes. Oo.
Kasi malapit naman ako. So,
Striking distance.
So, yung mga helping the president directly, there was nothing much that can be done. Just wait for Comelec.
Just wait for it,
Just be sure that Comelec would count the votes accurately,
Properly,
properly.
correctly.
No cheating, etc.
Pero eventually, 6 months later, 6 weeks later, naproklama na siya,
Yes.
So yun yung meeting ninyo.
After,
Standby
standby.
lang muna.
And truthfully enough, I am very proud of this because he got us all in. Nobody was left behind.
Talaga.
Because he was telling us during that meeting, he told us, I was a general, he said, And in the military, we don't leave our wounded comrades in the field. We take care of them. So that emboldened us, That said, we still have a hope. We work with FBI during the campaign, and he would somehow not forget us, and he would be helping us.
Talaga?
Yeah,
Wala na.
that was very kind of him,
Oo.
And eventually, he was able to give everybody an appointment.
Some directorship or
Or directorship.
Oo. But that was you behind the scenes, really, ano? Were you appointed after the ban? Hindi.
No, after the ban, but it took another 2 years, I
Another
think.
2-3 years, because
Yeah,
I
because
remember you came
in
on board.
1995,
There you are. Yeah.
he assigned to me a very important position or job to be the campaign manager
Right. There you are.
of the Lakas-Laban coalition for the Senate. It was a midterm election.
Yeah.
So he said, you be the campaign manager, draft your plan, campaign plan, campaign organization.
How did you feel about that? I mean,
I thought I had handled some campaigns before.
yes.
Like Governor Pampanga was the campaign manager, si Estelito Mendoza,
Yes.
Herrera, when he ran for the first time, I was his campaign manager. So individually, but not for a whole party. But I felt that was really a challenge in the first place.
Yeah.
And it was a great honor that it would be President Ramos who would tell me, you be the campaign manager. I don't want LDP, Lakas, to LDP to be the campaign manager. Because it's our finances that would run the campaign, and then this LDP would just be bringing in their candidates, and
Yeah.
I would be spending our party money, party funds. So
Angara, yun, ano? But,
Yes,
yeah,
at the
Angara
time.
was on the, at
Yeah,
the time,
you know.
was president of LDP. But, Lakas-Laban ba yun?
Lakas-Laban coalition.
Lakas-Laban
yes.
Coalition, right, 1995. I used to visit you at the campaign
That's right.
office in
Intramuros.
in Intramuros,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. But, I mean, how did it feel working with the enemy?
Yeah,
I mean, di ba? In the 92 campaign, it was,
we were together already.
di ba? I mean, you guys were running against each other, no?
1992 with President Ramos.
Right,
Yeah, we were running together. But before that, during martial law, before martial law, we were really out to crush the government, to put down the government. And he was the chief of the military, the police. So
No, I mean working alongside the LDP. Sila yung kalaban ninyo sa 92.
Angara, of course, may his rest, may soul rest in peace, was a good friend of mine.
Okay.
After my graduation from UP, he wanted to take care of me, He wanted to be with him. And, so, to join his law office, he asked me,
Accra,
Also, and really, he wanted me to join his law office.
Teka
And,
ba?
but I chose to be, eventually, to be just legal counsel of University of the Philippines. So, I served there until martial law.
So your political star was on the rise, and shortly after the 95 elections, you came back officially into
Yes,
government service.
Not, in fact,
Ano yun? For a job well done?
when I was still campaign manager, not yet election, in February, first week of February, the party was already considering who would run for congressman. And so for Zambales, I considered that I might win as congressman.
Your bailiwick.
Yeah, second district. So I asked several Lakas party mates, like Governor Brengyao of Pampanga, because I belong to Region 3, he was vice president of the party, to nominate me
Yes.
during the party caucus. And then, Pagdanganan, Bulacan, was vice president,
Yes.
to second the motion. So I was there, not as a member of the executive committee of the party, but as the campaign manager. And then when the discussion reached the Zambales,
Oo.
Governor Giao started making a speech endorsing me and nominating me to be the official candidate of the party. And while he was talking, he went out of the room and asked Senator Manglapos to preside. And a few seconds, his aide called me. The president wants to talk to you outside.
Okay.
So I went out.
Oo.
And while Brengia was delivering his speech, we went out. The president said, "Why do you insist on running for congressman?"
Okay.
Said, "Don't run anymore. You might lose." And because your cousin, who is the governor, said he would not support you. So I said, "Don't run because I'm going to appoint you executive secretary."
Wow.
That
So
was
dun pa lang?
February. But he said, "Keep quiet. Don't tell the press about this. But anytime you want to assume office, come to Malacanang and I will swear you in." So I told the president, "Mr. President, I'm the campaign manager of the party. I want to finish the election.
Yeah.
If our candidates would win, majority would win, I might have some credit.
Okay.
If the party would perform very poorly, then you might you might wish to reconsider your decision."
Yeah.
I said, "No. Anytime." I said, "I'll finish." And he told me that pagkatapos ng eleksyon, punta ka na sa Malacanang.
Decided na siya.
Hindi na.
Done na. Done.
Yes, that bad. It is February, March, April, May. Election in May. So, truthfully, after election on a Friday morning, he called me. "Come here. Come to Malacanang." And said, "I have signed your appointment already." Informed me he has signed it already. And Executive Secretary then, Tito Guinguna,
Yeah.
was moved to Justice.
Correct. Oh,
So
justice.
his appointment was already signed also. When Senator Guinguna came, or Executive Secretary Guinguna, pirmado na rin appointment niya. So, take your oath tomorrow, Saturday. So that's how
That's how it happened. Oh.
That happened,
Oh.
I never worked for it. He just offered it to me.
Yeah.
In fact,
He, my impression is that he does, he does a wide search,
I think so.
mga
I think
tao,
so.
no?
I had an inkling earlier that year in 1995 that he had a plan for me. Because Tony Boy Cuango of PLDT, remember I was board member
Yes,
of PLDT,
yes.
and General Magno went to see me in the campaign headquarters and asked me that if I agree, I would be chairman of the board of PLDT. I told him, "You ask the president because I still have the job to do."
Yes.
And then they went to Malacanang, talked to the president, and then in the afternoon, the president told them, according to General Magno, "Don't touch Torres. I have plans for him. I have plans for him." So that's it. So what's the plan?
Hindi ka na nag-lobby.
Hindi na.
Kasi mas malaking sakit ng ulo ng executive secretary as against chairman of the PLD.
Yeah. Hindi na ako. When he told me I would become his executive secretary, I told him, "Are you sure, Mr. President, I'm qualified for the job?" I said, "Okay, you're qualified. I need a lawyer. I need a man with a political sense.
Yeah.
I need a team worker, and one who is industrious."
Okay.
I found this all in you. Oh, I said, "Thank you." So when we returned to the meeting, Bendia was still talking about me,
Nominating you.
how good how good I am. And then President in Tagalog said, in Filipino said, "Ano bang pinagsasabi mo, Yaw?" Sabi niya, "Hindi naman tatakbo yan si Ruben eh." So sabi ni Presidente, Ruben, tatabo ka ba? Sabi ko, hindi sir, kalokohan yan. Oh, so, President, what happened? What happened? So, anyway, after that they asked me, but I was told by the President never to tell anybody.
Yeah.
So I said that was
But
offered.
Governor Giao and Governor Pagdaganan both nominated you already. So they had to withdraw it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I had to do the nomination because I was not interested.
Yeah.
So, sabi nga ni Biagyaw, ano nangyari?
And the president said,
Then
"Wag
after
na."
the meeting, they asked me, ano bang position na kukunin mo sa gobyerno? Sabi niya, sabi ng Presidente, tutulong daw ako sa peace process with the MNLF.
Okay, yeah. I'll get to that in a bit. So you came in, half the term was done. No?
Yeah,
Midstream na no? 95 na
95 na.
Yeah, right.
May.
So ano yung...
May, excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead. Kasi... Nakaano na no? Nakaangat na ng konti So, he was done with the first half. What were the marching orders for the second half?
Nothing really. He never talked to me what I'll do.
Tama.
No. He will say, okay, do you do the work of the executive secretary?
Pero ikaw yung little president, sir. Di ba? I mean, you're the fellow who's supposed to get everything
Yes.
done.
Yes, I realized that early on. Because during the time of Marcos, I worked with Paing Salas
Yeah.
in Malacanang.
Yes.
Even if I was an activist, Paing Salas got me into Malacanang. So I know the job of the executive secretary, And I had a pretty, some notions on how I should behave. Because my first job as executive secretary was the next day, Saturday, he brought me to Zamboanga. Now, my first job there was to introduce him in a meeting. And then as
Secretary
executive secretary, he
Salas,
announced that already as executive secretary, so everybody would know. So on Monday, I reported to Malacanang.
Wala siyang binanggit na ano?
Walang
Priorities?
binanggit. Hindi ko alam kung anong mga priority niya.
Si FVR talaga?
Si FVR. Because he trusted me so much, I think.
Ano yung
Kaya
expectation, sir? So, everybody was supposed to know their job already. Ikaw lang yung bastonador. Ganun ba yun?
Yeah.
What was that?
I really did not have any meeting with him. What I did to familiarize myself with work
Yeah.
was to read the administrative code, administrative law, look for the functions of the secretary, all laws and issuances regarding the office, what powers should I have, what would be, and then the president was giving me the priority. He would just tell me, work on this, work on this, work on this.
Okay. So, meron naman.
Meron naman, but not say na I want you to promote this program or that, but
But there were a lot of things happening actually. Di ba?
At the same time.
Liberalization, yung social reform agenda
yes,
niya.
yes.
Di ba?
That he wanted.
Di ba? Breaking down all these barriers in the economy. Di ba?
Yes, but really he had other cabinet members who are well qualified and who are doing their job.
Sila yung point men. No?
My job was to coordinate and see to it that cabinet secretaries doing the job according to the wishes of the president or the program of government, so monitoring, and from him it goes down to me, and I disseminate this to the cabinet members.
May role assignment ba, sir? I mean, good cop, bad cop. So, siya yung good cop, ikaw yung bad cop. O siya yung bad cop, ikaw yung good cop.
But my own position, my view, the position of executive secretary is that whatever good things that we do, it's a president. Whatever mistake, I own it. But the president did not tell me that, but that was my guide rule.
That's how you did it.
Because I told the president when we had some cabinet members who had to be replaced, I said, Mr. President, I'll do the job. I'll talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't hesitate, because it's very easy to find a cabinet member, but very difficult to find a good president.
Yeah.
You know, so all of us can be sacrificed for the presidency, for the president.
Ikaw yung primus inter pares.
Yeah, that's what I said, primus inter pares,
Yeah.
because I'm just coordinating.
Yes. I'll give you a few acronyms and phrases, and then let me know what you recall of it. CSW.
Well, CSW is his number one bureaucratic weapon to get things done. Complete staff work. It's always any memo, any document coming from him that with CSW, addressed to me CSWD, so you have to look at it and see which departments are concerned, which
Yeah.
offices are concerned. You have to touch base with them. You have to discuss the project with them,
Yeah.
the issue with them, etc. And it's only when there's a general agreement
Yeah.
that I would be able to recommend any action for the president. Either I recommend approval or disapproval.
CORD. CORD.
Yeah, regional development.
Diba? Oo nga eh.
I was no longer in charge of that.
Yeah. Pero it was a tool for governance eh, diba?
Yes,
Sa kanya.
yes.
He
It started with President Aquino.
Ah.
That cabinet members are assigned to be the coordinating
Yes,
official for regional
Right,
development.
right. So may nakatutok na specific
so each cabinet member would be given a region.
Mm-hmm.
But that is just, in a way, really, to make the office of the president present in the regions. Because you represent the regular president.
Yes.
That was a very good one. And the president also, President Ramos, did that. But I was no longer assigned to handle any
Hindi na.
any regional, any region.
Oo.
But we get to, supervise.
There was some interaction din eh.
Yeah.
Okay. LEDAC and PLLO.
That was his project
Brainchild,
initially. It's a brainchild.
Yeah.
It was brilliant because at the time he became president, assumed presidency, with only 3 senators.
Right.
And we had a very, very few congressmen. So how could we get legislations done expeditiously? Or how could we get presidential legislative proposals approved? So I don't know who conceived it, but whoever advised the president, tell the president, or probably it's just the president himself, because he's a military man. He's tactician and strategy, good strategy. So he thought of LEDAC. And he was very religiously implementing the LEDAC every week.
Every week, right.
Every week. And when I was executive secretary already, I had to prepare the weekly meeting.
Yes.
In other words, I would get the agenda, discuss with the speaker, and the Senate President, and the majority floor leader in the Senate and the House.
And even the minority leaders.
Yes, they were invited.
So,
but in fixing the agenda,
yeah.
my task was to get the consent of the Speaker, the Senate President, and the majority floor leader of both houses to agree on an agenda. So we usually, I was meeting these leaders of Congress on a Friday, so we'd be ready for next week's LEDAC.
Yeah. It's a terrific management tool.
Yes,
Diba?
terrific management tool. And we got most of the administration's proposed legislations approved.
Yeah.
It was very simple. Really, he would not tell them. He would not tell them in a meeting, rush this out, rush this out. Because I was making the report, the status of bills. He would not tell them, okay, why is it delayed? Why is it? Just reminding them that the president is interested in this.
Yeah. But the meeting by itself was also the means to an end, diba? Because you had bicameral, you were able to mobilize bicameral support for the administration's legislative
Yes,
initiative.
it's a good one because we also get to discuss the problems that would be involved in passing a legislation.
Sa LEDAC pa lang, tapos na. Diba? So that when it's brought
that
to
was
the separate chambers,
Because before 1995 election, it was we had very few senators. 3. After 1995, it became 12.
yeah, right. PLLO, that was the arm of no?
Oh yes, that's Malacanang, the office of the president.
Coordinating.
yes.
Again, it's the day-to-day.
Yes, monitoring
Yeah.
the legislations,
Yeah.
bills, and monitoring the wishes of the congressmen.
Tell me how the cabinet debates were when you guys were discussing the initiatives and how FVR would arrive at resolving the disagreements among the
because of
cabinet
the CSW thing,
members.
there would be less disagreement over
Talaga.
in the cabinet meeting. But cabinet members, when the president would presiding, would wanted to impress, of course, the president. That I have a very good program, etc. So meetings get to be long. But at times when the president was not available or was still busy, he would ask me to start the meeting. And in my own experiences, the meeting would last only for 30 minutes.
Talaga.
Even it's a long agenda, because I don't want, there's no debate actually because of the CSW. That's the beauty of the CSW. All these agreements between cabinet members and offices would be resolved.
I was told that in some instances he would instruct the cabinet secretaries involved who were having disagreements
Yes, of
to
course.
go to a separate room.
Yes, of course, that was done.
You remember that?
Yeah, that was several times. When there would be disagreement, and so the president would tell me, would whisper to me, get these 2 cabinet members out and talk to them. And we suspend discussion on this issue. If you could get an agreement, come back and we'll discuss again. So I was doing that. So I get them out, and, go to the next room, and resolve the differences between
So that's
two
like
of them.
the good cop bad cop relationship din Ikaw yung
Hindi ako yung nagko-conciliate.
Yeah.
Nagko-conciliate.
yeah.
The president would, because anyway, the cabinet does not vote. There's no voting in the cabinet meetings. If the president says no, it's no.
Yes.
Yes, because he's the president.
Right.
But he would not say no or yes until, if there's still a chance that there could be an agreement on the proposed project,
Yeah.
proposed actions to be taken on anything.
Saka naalala ko come back only with a win-win solution.
Yes. And, fortunately, we never got into a situation where the differences would be irreconcilable and that the program would be dropped or the president would make a decision.
Yeah. Terrific. Let me get to the peace agreement with the MNLF. I was reviewing some of my stories from way back, Secretary. Tell me, can you discuss how you handled the back channel with Noor?
You know how
With
I got
Chairman Noor.
involved. You know how I got involved in it. 1 month after.
You have a history with Noor
Yes, of
Miswari,
course. I'll tell you about the history. But 1 month after I became executive secretary, we went to Baguio on a Saturday for some meetings with the local government, and we played golf. And General Mita was there.
Yeah.
Eddie Hermeta. And while we were walking to do our second shot, General Meta said, I just talked to Miswari, and Miswari told me that Ruben here was his very good friend in UP. They were classmates
Yeah.
in the political science
Right.
course and classmate in the College of Law. And then the president said, Ruben, why don't you back channel to Ms. Wari? You'll be my personal, representative to talk with Ms. Wari and try to resolve some differences. So Ms. Wari really was a good friend of mine. From first year to fourth year, taking heavy political science.
Sa Polsa.
And from first year to second year on the College of Law.
Okay.
He dropped out of the College of Law because I think he was already engaged in, he went to Libya for
Yes.
study,
Yes.
graduate study. So he would drop out of the College of Law and went to Libya. And I think there he was radicalized. And
There.
yes, and when he came back, he started organizing already.
That's when he established the
Initially, it was
MNLF.
Bagong Asia, Bagong
Yeah.
Asia.
Yeah. Yes.
But that was really Muslims-dominated organization. And most of their ideological positions were for liberation of Mindanao.
Yeah.
So I accepted the challenge to do some back-channel work with Ms. Wari.
What were the instructions?
Well, to discuss with Ms. Wari issues that could not be resolved in the panel discussions, panel talks. So, anyway, when he gave me that instruction to do some back-channeling work, I requested General Mita to make an arrangement to meet Ms. Wari. Because I have not really talked to him or saw him from 1972 because we went underground together at the same time, not together, but at the same time. When martial law was declared, I went underground, and Ms. Wari also went underground in Mindanao already. So from that time, we never corresponded, we never talked, etc. Even when I was Secretary of Labor, and I would learn that he would be staying in my hotel in Saudi, in Riyadh, I would not get in touch with him because I had no instruction to do it. So, anyway, General Mita arranged for a meeting in Davao with Ms. Wari. That was 1995, and we somehow parted ways in 1972. So it's a long time.
Yes.
Well, of course, we were friends, and when finally we got to meet for breakfast in my room in the Insular Hotel, Davao, we hugged each other and started talking about how's your wife. Ms. Suarez said, how's your wife, Amar, because he knows my wife very well. Said, well, how many children do you have, etc., etc. I also asked him how many children he had, because I also told to him I was sorry that your first wife, Fatima, died, and that you have a new wife, of course, the sister of Fatima. After that, we started talking. I told Ms. Wari, I would be talking with you not as a negotiator of government. I'll be talking to you as a friend. Let us approach all the issues that are pending in the peace talks from a problem-solving perspective. I will not negotiate with you. Let's solve the problem together. And if we have a solution, then we can recommend to our respective panels. So that's how I open up. I'm not negotiating for government. I have no authority, but I will help you solve your problems. So then on, he agreed that will be our process of resolving disputes, solving the problems. So I started warmly again. We became friends again, and he would ask me for personal requests. Like his.
Ms. Wari was underground all the while at that time, ano?
Oh yes, not only underground. He was really conducting a war, waging war.
So you were cloak and dagger style, Secretary?
No, at the time when the peace talks started, he was given a clearance, a pass, security pass. He could get out. He would not be arrested, etc. Even his security, be free to, walk around and attend meetings, etc. So,
But he was not just in one place. He would move from
Yes, from
One
Indanan, President Kapi Indanan in Sulu, and he would go to Middle East, goes where,
And you had to
Indonesia.
catch up.
All the that one time when we had to really when he rejected the SPCPD and he said he would rather go fishing, and then after a few days it was announced in the papers that he left for abroad. We don't know where. And before leaving, he said war will resume.
Oh, there. What did the president say? With that?
And then the president told me, find your friend, talk to him, discuss with him the SPCPD, because he totally rejected the proposal of government to put up Southern Philippines Council for Peace and Development,
Yes, yes.
which was really nothing. It was just consultative body. So I talked to the chief of staff of Miswari, Iribani. Where is Miswari? Where did he go? And Iribani said he had a speaking engagement in New York. So which group? So he told me a group, and I said, okay, I'll follow. Give me telephone number of the hotel. It would be in. And so I asked the president, I told the president he would go to New York because the chief of staff told me, and he gave me the telephone number of Miswari where I could get in contact with him. But he did not appear in New York. I was there for one whole week,
Talaga?
just waiting for him, and he did not appear.
Never showed up.
Then I called him out. They called Iribani again. At that time, wala pang cellphone eh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I called the landline of Iribani. Where is your boss? I said, he was not given a visa, so he proceeded to Libya. So I said, give me a telephone number of Libya. I called him, and I called him. Said, if he's mad, Miswari, I know if he's mad, because he would address me, His Excellency. But if he's not, he's just address me by my first name.
Talaga?
Ruben,
So
dito.
pag galit siya, Ruben.
Pag galit siya, His Excellency.
Okay.
Oh,
Pag hindi.
Pag hindi, kaibigan kami.
First name
So I said,
basis.
why are you in Libya? You're not in New York. I was waiting for you for one whole week. And so I said, come to Libya. Because I was not given visa by the U.S. government, so I had to proceed to Libya. So I said, okay, I'll see you in Libya. And I forgot that in the U.S. there was no embassy, the Libyan embassy. So no way I could get a visa. So after trying, I called Miswari again. I could not get a visa. I said, I will go to Morocco after this. In 2 days, I'll go be in Morocco. See me in Morocco. I said, okay, I'll be in Morocco. I've not seen that place. He told me it's a beautiful place. I said, okay, I'll see you. I'll wait for you there for 3 days. If you do not come, sorry, I could no longer talk to you. And I could not. That was because at that time there was a holiday in the U.S. and I could not get a visa for these next 2 days. So I called him up again. I cannot be in Morocco. He said he's proceeding to Dubai.
There you are.
So I wanted to, if he wanted to talk to him, I should go to Dubai. And so I said, okay, Dubai, because in Dubai there's no requirement for a visa to be issued by any embassy. It was just there, and we had diplomatic relations with United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
So, and we had ambassador, so they could help me get this entry form, entry permission. And we met in Libya. And when I got off the plane, he was really a big man in Libya, and in United Arab Emirates, because he had this stretched limousine waiting for me at the foot of the stairs from the plane. And he had a friend who's the chairman of the biggest bank, Dubai Bank.
Wow.
So who invited us for dinner that night. So I check in the Dubai International Intercon. So we had dinner. Then after dinner, at around 8, we started talking over the phone. And there I was really convinced that the president wanted a solution. Because he would call me every time.
Talaga?
At least twice a day.
Talaga? Si FBR?
This morning there, he would call me, and in the afternoon, around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
Talaga?
So Miss Wari and I started working on this, explaining to him what is PCPD for 3 nights and 3 days. Only one-on-one. No other one in the room.
Yeah.
So when he's mad, he would stand up and lecture to me about all the grievances of the Muslim people
Yes, yes.
against the government. I said, okay, don't discuss that. Don't lecture me. We were together. You wanted me to join me when we were students. You wanted me to join you in the Mindanao to fight for the Muslim cause. He asked me, I would suggest. I said, okay.
Yeah.
And I said, but I should be a general. I said, no, of course we have to work out. That was a joke. And so don't lecture to me anymore. I know all the grievances. I know that there's no justice really on several matters.
Yes.
So I said, okay, let's sit down. And we started talking about the specificity. On the third day, he would not agree. So I had to get the president's approval by telephone. Sir, I'll throw in the governorship of ARM as a sweetener.
Oh.
Because really, as chairman of the SPCPD, Biswari would have no power.
Yeah.
And he could not even employ his people. And he might not be entitled to much security as he wanted. So I did, sir, if you agree, I'll throw in the governorship. So on the third day, I said, let's leave SPCPD first, because we have another urgent problem that I want you to consider. The election for the ARM is coming in 1997, I think. And said, the party, Lakas party, agreed to draft you as our candidate for governor.
Wow.
So, no, I'm not a politician. I would not win. I could not win. I cannot campaign, I said, no problem. We will assure you that you will run unopposed. And how many, council members or etc. could I bring in with me when I run? So we discussed this, everything. And when I assured him he would have no opponent, we really had to deliver that.
Yeah.
So at that time, when I was talking to him, the peace agreement was not yet signed. Because that was the last issue, major issue, the SPCPD.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was the last offer of government.
SPCPD.
So in the third day in the afternoon, the president called me. So what's the progress? Miss Wari would just be there. I was talking to the president. What's the progress? I said, sir, we are talking about details of SPCPD. And while he did not agree yet with the governorship, he is considering that, because he told me he just wanted to consult his generals and the imams in Mindanao. So I said, but SPCPD, we are now talking about how much salary would the chairman of the SPCPD get, how much budget, how many people could hire to work on SPCD. Who would appoint, how many MNLF would sit in the council, and how many Lumads will sit in the council.
Details.
So we were really discussing details. So I sense that he would accept it.
Looks like he was giving way already.
Oh, yeah.
Because
So I told the president, we're talking details. So I said, okay, that's a good sign, the president said.
Yeah.
And then he left the room for prayers.
Yeah.
And then came back. So at that time, the Jakarta meeting was pending, because that meeting would not proceed if Missouri would not agree to his PCPD. So when we resumed in the evening of the third day, I said, Nor, can we schedule already the Jakarta meeting? Because that was the main agenda. SPCPD will formally offer it in the discussion, the negotiations. Okay, it's okay with me. We can proceed together to Jakarta, I said.
Wow.
So I had to tell the president that.
Breakthrough.
Yeah.
Diba?
As Maswari agreed already to have the Jakarta meeting, and the government should offer this as a formal proposal to Maswari, to the MNLF. So the meeting was scheduled the next week. I had to come home, brief the president on what happened, etc., etc. And then it was scheduled. So I said, he told me, I would like you to be there in the final discussions, finalization of the peace agreement. I said, I will be there. Because I'll be behind you. I'll be behind you. And work with you in the final meeting. Because we had to style it, put it in proper form, and etc.
But the head of the panel
That was really a breakthrough. I'm very proud. I'm very proud I contributed to that. But I just wanted to impress that President was really interested. He was calling twice a day. Me to brief him on the progress of the meeting. That
Importante
was
sa kanya
really
naman,
very important.
That it's important to FVR that we get the peace agreement with the MNLF.
So after that, it was signed. So but even before that, we had to really many issues, back channel issues like how many MNLF could be able to join the army. How many in the police?
Integris.
Integris. So, and he was telling me that he had around 30,000 fighters. So I said, I don't believe you, of course. 30,000, that's a big number. Because I told him the intelligence of the military is that you have only around maximum of 10,000. And the 10,000, not all of them would have guns. You're just counting them as fighters, but only around 7,000 guns. So we had to, he already agreed to run for governor, but we had to resolve this. Because it's a nitty-gritty of the agreement, the implementation of the agreement. Although a peace agreement was signed, but we had to discuss the how implementation. And he was asking 10,000. And the Department of National Defense Secretary Rene de Villa was only giving him, told me that I could offer only 5,000. So I talked to Ms. Suarez and said, okay, if you want a meeting in Davao about this, you have to go down. I will not go there and waste my time if you insist on 10,000. And I will try to adjust.
You have to meet somewhere.
Said, you are asking for 10, I will go up. But you have to go down. So after a few days, and the ambassadors of the Middle East were interested in peace profits were in my office in Malacanang. The president also was always asking me, what is the solution? Would I meet with Ms. Wari, etc. I said, I'm still negotiating over the phone, sir, because it's too much to go to Mindanao just to that's not to agree. If I can get an agreement, I will not go there. So he went down to 8,000. Okay, Nor. Went down to 8,000. I'm going up. The government will offer 6,000, and then we talk. So there's a difference. There's a difference. So when I went to Davao, started talking about numbers. So we could not agree. So one whole morning, the panels were waiting if they could meet. But Ms. Wari and I were still discussing the problem. And so at one time, we agreed already, he agreed to bring down to 7,000. I agreed to, okay. And I asked the president over the phone if I could agree to 7,000. Because the Secretary of National Defense said if you go up, it's only 6,000. Because there's a constitutional limitation. On how many Muslims or could join the military,
Okay.
not more than 10%.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so I told the president, we might get the agreement at 7,000. He said, okay, go. I agree. So I told him, sorry, there's an agreement already, 7,000. But because you want to have some credit with your people, with your generals, I give you another 500. Another 500. Because the president said, split the difference
Yeah.
between 6 and 8, 1,000 plus another. But the 500 will be not regular. They'll be in the auxiliary force. And he asked me, do they have salaries? I said, of course they have salaries. Consider the engineering brigade. They're paid people. Will they have arms? I said, they will have arms. So he agreed, but that will not be in the agreement. Only 7,000 because the national defense people would not like it.
Yeah.
It will be a gentleman's agreement between us. And the implementation, and how many in the police, we discussed that also.
Yes.
The next day, I reported to the president. I said, Mr. President, actually, it's not 7 that he accepted. He accepted only 7 in the agreement because he wanted another 500. And he told me over the phone, the president told me over the split the difference, 7 and 8. So we split. But I told him, agreement is 7, but 500 more. Auxiliary. And the president said, why, are there many musicians in there? And there are in the MNLF,
Yeah.
cooks and nurses. I said, no, Mr. We're referring to engineering brigade. And the president said, oh, those are regular soldiers. They're not auxiliary. Musicians are auxiliary. I said, I'm sorry, Mr. President. I said, okay, no problem. So that was how it was resolved, the issue. At the interest of the president is that he would be always calling while I was talking to him. After we agreed on the 7,000, then president, we told the panel, General Yan, okay, proceed with discussion. We have an agreement at 7,000.
And eventually, peace agreement was ano?
Eventually, it was
was
agreed.
right.
Many of the issues, like ranks of the integris,
yeah.
he wanted some generals, because there were generals in the MNLF, so he wanted them. There would also be generals in the
Equivalent
army. But I think we could not do that. We could only offer you lieutenant colonel, not a full colonel.
In retrospect, sir, I mean, so Lakas, and FVR campaigned strongly for, well, eventually the peace agreement was arrived at, and then campaigned strongly for Miswari
Oh yes,
and his slate,
and he won.
and they eventually, they won.
He was unopposed.
Unopposed, correct.
But that was a very interesting story, because there were still 2 candidates who wanted to run,
Yeah.
and we had to get them to withdraw. One is our co-party mate, Amina Rasol, wanted to run. And the other one was from Mindanao, former governor of ARM, Pangarungan. They wanted to run. And then another one, Commander Dante, his own commander. So the president decided that, we have committed to Miswari, he would be unopposed. So get these 2 friends of ours to withdraw.
Talaga.
And we will give them some position. The former armed governor will be appointed ambassador. Mina would be appointed chair of the youth commission with undersecretary rank, whatever.
Yeah.
The president did that, so the 2 withdrew. But Commander Dante, he would not withdraw. We could not offer him any position. So we had to offer him money. So, what's this? General Magno and I,
Convince him to...
General Magno and I we went to Cotabato and talked to Commander Dante. This Dante, a Muslim. He said, Commander, you have no chance to win in this election. Why? He said, I'm more popular than Miswari. a bigger group than Miswari, you will never win because we will cheat you. We will cheat you in the election because we are in the government. You are not in the government.
You were willing to do that?
No, it's just a joke to him. But I said, how come? I mean, I spent already so much money. I said, how much did you spend? At the time, I was carrying 500,000 to settle him, to reimburse him for all expenses if he withdraw. Said, okay, whatever amount you spend, you have spent already. I'll double it. General Magno was carrying the bag, the money. I'll double it if you withdraw. Mr. Secretary, I spent already 50,000 for campaign. I said, okay, 100,000 to you this afternoon. Give me an affidavit or you submitted to the Comelec that you are withdrawing your candidacy, duly authorized, signed by the Comelec as fit. Will see me in my hotel. I'll give you 100,000. Oh, and it was all agreed.
Closed.
So Miswari ran unopposed. That's very interesting.
Yeah. But in retrospect, Secretary, Miswari wasn't exactly a very good governor.
No, he was not.
so-
He had no experience in government.
Looking back, was disappointed. Ikaw, si FVR, disappointed na. I mean, yeah, he was a good revolutionary.
Yeah,
He instilled,
good.
he was the fire, he had the passion to instill it on his people. But when peacetime came, it was,
Well,
that's
really,
a totally different ballgame,
yes.
right?
Miswari had no experience with government. And I thought he really wanted to do a good job. And he was careful, he was telling us. So the President Ramos, asked Secretary Aguirre and me to tutor him in governance. So alternately, I and Secretary Aguirre would go to Cotabato to sit with him and discuss with him problems about administration. And in my experience, there was a pile of papers on his table. Some of them were payroll that he had not signed. Payroll of teachers.
Yeah.
For 2 months,
I
these teachers were not receiving a salary
Yeah.
because he would not sign the payroll. I said, Nor, what is your problem? Why don't you sign the payroll? I said, I suspect there are ghost teachers there. I said, but it was endorsed already by the superintendent, the district superintendent, and other officials of the education department. Ms. Wari, in governance, you must rely on the recommendation of your subordinates. You, as the governor, you are not expected by government to go into details to investigate this. If you suspect anything, after you sign it, ask them to investigate or ask a group to investigate. Because you never go to prison because you relied on the recommendation of subordinates because the chief does not have time to verify.
Yeah.
He had to rely on the recommendations. So sign, and then the appointment papers will go there, pile up. No, would not be appointed, would be signed. So the whole day of Friday, I had to be there every other week.
Talaga. Hindi talaga.
Tutor him, that was the instruction of the president. Tutor him in governance, the bureaucracy.
He was not a very good administrator.
He was not, and he surrounded himself with his own people. There would be so many people in his office, security, assistants, whatever, but so many.
Doing nothing.
That's why he had problems, and he would come to Manila for meetings with so many security, a big group all the time, occupying one floor of Dosit Hotel. I said, eventually, you will run out of money. Your budget will not be enough for this. So he's trying to scale down. Well, of course, he had some problems eventually about money.
Yeah. Can I ask you to comment on the foreign policy issues and initiatives? I mean, at about the same time, this was when China was making its overtures in the South China Sea already.
Yes.
And yet FBR was able to mobilize actually.
Eventually, FBR would be able to develop a good relationship even the Philippine government's position would be really to counter Chinese ambitions in the South China Sea. That was our position. But the Chinese government, Chinese president did not take that as a hindrance to developing future relations. So I noticed this because even after the term of President Ramos, he would bring me to China often, to Beijing, because the Chinese people love him very much.
Yeah.
He would receive, very warm welcome to Chinese people, even in restaurants.
Or setting aside the contentious issues.
Setting aside the contentious issues. That's
but
what
working on
That's what I like. Because we had to be firm on our position on the territorial claims
Yes.
of China, that we would not allow them to encroach into our islands that we belong to the Philippines.
What about sir? ASEAN, APEC, I don't know.
I really didn't have
mobilized-
much of
okay, not too much. Okay.
because it was the Secretary of Foreign
Foreign
Affairs
Relations.
really doing
Okay.
it.
December 96, sir. Where were you when the president had his carotid magkasama ba kayo no?
That was on.
He was in
I
the
think,
palace
it
when
was Sunday.
he complained of
Yes.
dizziness.
On a Sunday, he called me up. Said, "Ruben, come to the office, my office. I want to talk to you." He did not tell me about anything. And he said, "Where are you?" I said, "Mr. President, I'm playing golf here at Manila Golf. After you finish your game, come to Malacanang. I want to talk to you." I said, "Yes, Mr. President." So, but still, I had another appointment in Bacoor for a lantern parade that I would be the guest of the town. Then, he said, after I finish, I go to Malacanang. But at 4 o'clock, another call. Not the president anymore, but the security at the aide. He said, "The president is waiting for you. Where are you?" I said, "I'm on my way now to Bacoor. Don't proceed anymore. The president wants to talk to you." So I said, okay, I'll go there. I have to call Mayor Maliksi that I will not be able to do it for very urgent reasons. So that's when he told me, "I'm going to the hospital to have a carotid procedure."
So alam na niya kung ano yung dapat gawin.
Alam na niya.
Okay.
And then he gave me instructions. I said, "You have to talk to the vice president. Brief him." Because that was Sunday afternoon. So at 7 o'clock in the morning, he had to be under the knife already.
Yeah.
So at night, in the evening, I had to talk to the vice president, the Senate president, the speaker,
Yeah.
and the cabinet members. At least the National Security Advisor and the Foreign Affairs Secretary.
Yeah.
Tell them what I'll undergo.
Yeah.
But they said, this will be a few days. There might be no need to appoint an acting secretary. Acting president. So,
Were you worried?
No, I was not worried. I know carotid. He was telling me carotid is simple operation. I know it was only here. But I was worried about his health before that because we had this incident in December that he fainted or whatever.
Yeah. That one.
So I was worried about it.
Iba pala yun.
And I told him at the time that, Mr. President, get yourself treated, take medical leave,
Yeah.
You have to improve your health because we still have 2 years to go. So I got a suite in the hotel in Makati, this new hotel there, because that's near Makati Medical.
Yes.
For my operation base. So I called for Vice President Erap Estrada to the hotel. It was Secretary Aguirre who looked for him. They brought him to the hotel. So I informed Mr. Vice President, President is going going to have an operation tomorrow. It's a carotid operation. It's to repair some major veins in the neck, and I would clean it so blood will flow. So it will be take around 3 days because there's a firm instruction that there will be no acting president. Of course, the President Ramos did not want ERAP to, make any complication about that.
Yeah.
So I briefed him about it. The speaker came, Speaker De Venecia came, I briefed him, and then the Speaker, Senate President Maceda came, I briefed him also on the operation. So, but under the Constitution, when the President is indisposed like that, I had to call a cabinet meeting.
Yeah.
It will be the Executive Secretary's job to convene the cabinet.
Yes.
And decide whether there is a need for an acting president. So, but all the drama was worked out. The story would be worked out before his operation. That I will call a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning. But I would, the operation was 7, and then at 9 during the meeting, after the meeting, the aide will call me that the president, operation successful, the president is already conscious after the anesthesia, and is now giving orders to his aides.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, but in the media it was a different story. You did not believe me at the time. The media did not believe me.
Yeah, we were worried.
So at 9 o'clock, after the general meeting, I announced that the aide told me already the doctor has pronounced the operation successful. So we have to meet again the next day to see further developments. So there will be a 2-day meeting with the cabinet. But then I told the Vice President, we'll have to face the press. We'll have a press conference. So we'll make a statement about the condition of the President.
Yeah.
I told the Vice President, would you like to make a statement? I said, yes, of course, but prepare the statement. So that was a break, And before that, I was worried that he will demand to be acting president. Because, the Vice President, during cabinet meetings, he sits on the right side of the President.
Yes.
And I have the left side.
Yes.
And then, because the President was indisposed, the middle chair would be empty. I said, if he wants to be president, acting president, he would sit in the middle chair. So that will be a big problem for me, But when ERAP came, he sat on his chair.
On his
He sat
chair.
here.
Okay.
So no problem. And then he asked me to prepare the statement.
Yeah.
I prepared the statement.
Yeah.
And, that's just how it was handled,
Mabuti.
according to the Constitution and everybody. But there was a rumor, because Maceda said the President underwent bypass operation.
Yeah, he said that, but it wasn't. Yeah.
So the press was interviewing me, asking me, you said it's carotid. And Maceda and Venecia said it's
Misleading.
heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bypass.
That was
I said,
misleading. Yeah.
how can you believe them? Is there a bypass operation that the neck will be opened? In this case, the neck of the president was open, not the chest.
Not the chest.
So I'm sure it's not bypass. But he said, at the time, I was the chair of a committee that was formed by the president to prepare for a presidential burial, state burial. We were meeting already. But that was time, we were preparing for President Macapagal.
Yes.
And the press interpreted that as a meeting for for President Ramos.
Oh my.
So,
Oh.
they did not believe me.
That contributed to the
And so
confusion.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
the president could not yet return to Malacanang. He was still there. So I said, Mr. President, the press was always insisting that you are dead. And they would not believe me. You're okay. I said, okay, bring them tomorrow to the
Yeah.
hospital. So you all
Yes,
video with
yes.
all there, with
Yes.
all the camera.
Yes, sir.
And in his hospital room, he went out and addressed the press.
Yes.
You know, that settled everything. Well, that was really an enjoyable experience for me.
Medyo naging misleading. A midnight cabinet. Meron bang ganun, sir? In the Ramos?
I am not very sure kasi pero the president always is a consultative president. You must remember he does not decide at that time. There was no decision that he would not consult with some people. And I was really surprised that at times the private sector would be in a meeting with him, etc. And I just come in and sit in.
Yeah.
Businessmen, bankers, and then apart from intelligence group people, because the president always meets with he was meeting with the security advisor
Oh, yeah. Yun,
first thing in the morning, all the time.
Yung madalas yun, ano? Always. Religiously.
Oh,
With the-
religiously.
yeah. So wala. No decisions made over poker, cognac, and cigars.
No. I joined them for some cognac or whiskey before, but that is all fun. You know.
Yeah. I remember. Coming towards the latter part, ano mga 97, ganun na, sir. Was there an assessment that there was not enough time to do everything planned?
Yes.
And I'm getting to PIRMA and
To
PIRMA.
be,
PIRMA, the People's Initiative for Reform, Modernization, and Action. Yung People's Initiative to
Change the
amend
Constitution, yes.
diba?
That was it started 1996 actually, and it failed because of Supreme Court decision.
Yeah.
So on my own, and with some cabinet members, we started another plan. I remember that there were three of us who were pushing for another track to amend the Constitution as Constituent Assembly.
Yeah, there.
So I prepared a plan. I had a group of people to prepare a plan to how to do it. We came up with detailed planning, including budgetary requirements, cash flow, activities to be undertaken. In 1996, towards the end of 1996, there was a blessing from the president, of course. So I remember that it was Secretary Almonte, Enriquez, Budget Secretary, and myself were working on it.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to change to not federalism, but parliamentary form. But in 1997, towards the end of 1997, the president gave it a go. But it was scuttled
Bakit?
because former President Aquino had that prayer rally,
Stepped in, ano?
which was very big. It's 1 million in Rizal Park. And the president then was out of the country, I think, attending an APEC meeting somewhere in Canada.
Canada, yes.
And he called me up and said, "Hold your fire. I'm coming home already, and we'll talk about it." Because it's on the go already. I was talking to journalists, columnists, and I've convinced many of them already to put in a good word for a charter change about parliamentary form of government. The president came
Supported ni FVR initially.
in 1997.
Yeah.
Towards the end of 1996, but start of 1997.
Yeah.
Actually, we work on it already, and we had a budget already.
So you were willing to commit government resources for that? You were willing to commit government resources for...
No, we are not committing government resources.
Ah,
We were using party resources.
lakas.
Yeah, Lakas. Lakas Party.
Okay.
lakas resources, no government money.
But eventually, what, what, what made you decide to stop it?
The president came home. There were things, not very good indications in the stock market
Ah,
because of the President Cory Aquino's rally, and then on the program, on the plan that.
yeah.
So when he came, I organized a rally. I told the president I'll mobilize as big a crowd in Mindanao. So you arrived the Philippines in Davao, so I organized a rally there, peace rally, but of course it's for cha-cha chains.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the president, before he landed, this plane landed, he called me and said, no cha-cha posters. So we kept all the cha-cha. I said, let's put it in the back burner and assess.
Yeah. Anyway, so he read the he read the signs, and then he decided,
Yeah,
let's not push through.
because it's President Aquino leading already the opposition.
Yeah. How serious did you see Estrada's ascendancy? Kasi he was very popular. He had announced that he is going to seek the presidency in '98. There were, among others, concerns over continuing the FVR administration gains, di ba?
Well,
So was that a common thread shared by the cabinet at that time?
yes, the president really was vocal about it. That since Estrada could not be prevented from running for president, and he was then Estrada was immensely popular. He would easily win, you know. So what the president wanted to do was to tutor him to become a president. But Estrada was not so serious about being tutor, you know. So he was very patient in trying to get Estrada to learn some presidential way of doing things.
Yeah.
Of course.
I remember he would tour or take Estrada around the palace, di ba? And he would explain this, explain that.
Yes, and President Ramos wanted really Estrada to always be in the cabinet meeting, where issues, policies are discussed.
Right.
But ERAP would come in for a while after prayer, photo picture taking. Probably he was too busy, so he would ask to be dispensed, and because he had to attend certain appointments.
So he wasn't exactly an eager, understudy.
I don't know. I not to put judgment there, but I suppose he really had some appointments, but that's at the time that was not his priority. You know, his priority was to campaign, probably get out and get more votes.
Now, this was also a complicated period for you because eventually you decided to give the Senate a second run.
Yes,
Diba?
yes.
So you resigned
And I did not join. Well, this was really a political issue that I took a different position from the president.
Yeah.
Before the party decision, I was really for another cabinet member. You know, as a cabinet member, Rene de Villa was interested. So I talked to the other cabinet members, and somehow I was able to convince a sizable number to go for Rene de Villa.
Yeah.
And we could not support Judy V.
The speaker.
That was a parting of ways on political matters with the president.
Yeah. Yeah. Any misgivings about
Pardon?
any misgivings about that particular period? I mean,
Well, actually, no, because at that time, I thought that nobody really could beat
Estrada.
Estrada.
So
Not
you
even
might,
the Villa, not even
Jollibee.
Jollibee. I wouldn't be able
So
to.
you might as well join him and work from the
Yes,
inside.
yes.
What was
And I
that?
wanted to be senator.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a second run. Ano?
Yeah, second run. And
Yeah.
I was number, 14 or 13. 14, 14.
Oh, right. Sayang, ano? FVR as a public servant. I mean, you were your public service history stretches all the way back to your roots at the ministry. How did FVR's brand of leadership and his work ethic influence you as well? I mean, it was grueling, huh? Diba?
The passion for process, passion for a systematic way of doing things,
Yeah.
and passion for details. That was my impression of President Ramos as a president. He has been with government for almost probably the entire of his
Yes.
life.
Yes.
He was with the Philippine Military Academy. There's government service already, so he was really well prepared to be president. And he had a political sense, political savvy, as we say, if you like it, political savvy. He knows politics, and he knows the bureaucracy. That's
Yeah.
how he was prepared for it.
Even though there was really no intention, ano, initially. I mean, he wanted to be a soldier, diba?
Yes, but I was thinking, how come a soldier and excelling as a soldier, and then will excel as a president? And many, of course, in other countries, many presidents came from the military.
Yes. Yes.
But in the Philippines, he was the first one to be a general and become president.
Right.
I think all the others were. Even Magsaysay was just Secretary of National Defense, so
Yeah.
not a military man. And we thought that a military man would go for a strong arm rule. But this president, President Ramos, was no.
It wasn't that. Ano?
He would
That
never.
wasn't him, ano?
He would never give in to any strong armed tactics by the government.
Over the years, you've interacted with FBR, ano? Even after 98. You drop by, you see each other.
Oh yes.
What are those interactions like? I mean,
Well,
what
we
do you
used
talk
to.
about?
He used to invite me to play golf
Yeah.
with him, and he would bring me in some foreign trips with him, and we talk about old days in Malacanang and about the present administration,
Current
era.
events, yeah.
Gloria, President Arroyo, and President Noynoy, talk about the current political situation.
Did you ever discuss what could have been done better during that 6-year term?
Well, no. I had of course, there were many programs that he started, but could not finish in 6 years. The infrastructure program that he has initiated, there was no time and not enough funds to be devoted to it. The rail transit, from Central Luzon to Manila, many things he has started. But at that time, the economy was not yet as good as now. So many of these big projects were not initiated. But we have to give him credit, because the biggest problem when he took office was power, shortage of power,
Yes,
in not only in Metro Manila but all over the country.
Yeah.
And continuing the projects that President Cory Aquino started, he fast-tracked.
Yeah.
And this deregulation of the economy
Yeah.
was really good.
Well, that's terrific, He opened it up.
He opened up,
Yeah.
and that made the entry of new players in the communications industry. Before it was monopolized in Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon by one company. But when he came in 1992, 1995, they regulated
And it made
the
the
transport.
Philippines competitive,
Yes.
Kasi There were new players providing more services,
Yeah.
better services. So,
Everybody must
consumer.
thank the president for this, because even the transport industry, one airline monopolized it, air transport before.
Yeah.
A few companies in the sea transport. So, but he came in and said, "Okay, let's open the market for all."
Right.
So that was good. These new players really elevated the services of these companies. Before, you have to line up and wait for 3 months to have a telephone connection.
Right.
Now we don't have that problem.
Same day.
Yeah.
What do you tell people of FVR and your tour of duty with him?
I enjoyed my tour of duty with him. I always recollect very pleasant memories about it. I did not have any bad memories with my work with the FBR. I think we got along very well. When I was executive secretary, I enjoyed his trust. So I worked hard to deliver. Because the work of executive secretary is very vital. If you don't do any work in a day, he will have nothing to do for the rest of the day, because he had to act only
Yeah.
on documents or papers that were processed already,
Right.
uh, in accordance with his complete staff work. And then after that, you send it to him. So, and he was very efficient in his job. That matters or documents that I sent to him in the morning will be acted in the afternoon. It will be back to me with actions already indicated by the president, approval or disapproval. And papers that I sent to him in the afternoon will come back to me in the morning. No backlog. That was what surprised me. No backlog. We did not have any backlog.
To you, what would be, or what are FBR's best legacy?
I suppose in keeping our government honest. His administration was one of the administrations that there was no serious case of corruption. Nobody could accuse the president of any wrongdoing as a public official. Of course, there are some who would criticize him for some policies that he has embarked upon. But ultimately now, many of the projects that he started, the policies that he started, really are working well for the country. His legacy is having a government that is transparent, that has a firm commitment on social justice, due process, and democracy. That's his commitment. And up to now, he has been working on that. And also his achievements in keeping the peace process in Mindanao alive. It was also during his term that he asked me to start talking with the MILF. We initiated that talk. After I informed him that MILF has sent me an emissary and asking if they could discuss also possibility of peace agreement with the government. President Ramos said, "Go, talk to them." So that started it.
Thank you very much.